Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of Game Mindset, where we take a look at the connections between sports and mental health. And who better than your favorite psycho sports radio host to guide us on this journey than myself, Ryan Verneuille. And this is a very special episode because I have layers of trauma to unpack, as Dr. Natanya Blochtel would say, just from being a New York sports fan. So I brought two of my very dear friends with me to unpack this trauma. We're all going through it, folks, especially recently with the loss. Mets didn't even get into the playoffs. We got one of the biggest Mets fans ever, and that's Josh Menza, and one of the biggest Yankees fans ever, Tommy Gucciardo, owner of Savvy Seats. So this is like a Long Island powerhouse, the three of us sitting here. There's going to be a lot of PTSD. There's going to be a lot of things to unpack. We've got ChatGPT because we don't have a real psychiatrist. We had to cut some corners here, but we're going to get through it, boys. Welcome to Game Mindset.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Let's do it. What's going on?
So, well, first off, it's been a long time since the Mets have won a World Series. It's been a long time since the Yankees have won a World Series. So I'm going to start by asking you this, Menza. The last time you witnessed the Mets win the World Series was 1986. How do you get through it? Because we're quick complaining and whining like little babies.
I was 7 years old, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I can tell you anything about the entire season, the playoffs, the World Series. And in '88, when we talk about the biggest disappointments when it comes to being a Mets fan, when Darling gives up 8 runs in Game 6, and it was pretty much a wrap for us, when we had so much hype and behind that we're going to win our second World Series in 2 years and we're going up against the Dodgers and blah, blah, blah. But, that was more of the disappointment because I was a little bit older. I was then 8 years old, 9 years old. And I'm really absorbing the fact that we're going back to the World Series. That was a huge disappointment. And we never really had a competitive team since then, in the sense of we got blown out by the Yankees in the World Series. It wasn't even close. And then when we played the Royals in 15, we had a great team, but the Royals were just a machine team at that point. So, 7 years old, 1986, and that's the last time.
Now, do you consider what you've gone through to be trauma? Do you feel like you've had any PTSD from any devastating losses? Because, the difference between being a Yankees fan and a Mets fan is that you don't have that high of expectations when you're a Mets fan. When you're a Yankees fan, it's win or go home. It's World Series or bust.
Which is, so all right, I hear you.
It causes a lot more trauma for us. But as a Mets fan, you hear about these miserable Mets fans. I mean, do you feel like you have PTSD from this, or are you just used to it?
So, can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm listening to him start, and he's talking about a World Series, and he goes right to loss. Right, he went the next sentence was a loss.
All right, so let me point this out.
That's what the Met fans are used to. They're used to getting excited up until June and July, and then the season goes backwards right from there, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been times where we've gotten stronger after the
True.
the All-Star break, but 2000 what was it? 2022 was it? The collapse after the
All-Star break.
The All-Star break, you know what I mean? Those things that I'm used to, but let's just take it back real quick and we'll just reflect on the fact that even for the Mets to win the World Series in '86, we had to come up against the most improbable odds that we should have actually lost in that Game 6. We should have actually lost. But the fact that we won it in such miracle fashion, and that's the only one in the last, 50-something years, is also a deterrent to me. Because I think about, let's say there was live game odds now. At that time in that game when the Mets are down by 2 runs in the last inning of the World Series and nobody on, to come back and win that game, the Red Sox obviously had to be ashamed of themselves.
Of course.
But that's their only win. Obviously we go back and then we win Game 7 easy, but Game 6 we should have lost. We shouldn't even have won. So even that alone, the stress behind, even at 7 years old, I understood it. My grandfather's pacing back and forth from the house to the garage, this and that, and the intensity was unbelievable in that Game 6. Wow. So to be elated and hey, this miracle thing happened. I'm 7. I'm thinking this is the way baseball's supposed to be all the time. I don't know any difference. The first time I started watching baseball was '85. I was 5 years old. And we were a competitive team. 85, we went to the playoffs. Or we got knocked out for the pennant because back then they didn't really have playoffs. It was the pennant. Right, so I'm sorry about the cursing, but so The Cardinals knocked us out of the pennant, and then 86 we come back and win it. 87 we have a flop, like a flop of a season. We don't even, not even competitive for the pennant. And then 88 here, we're back where we're supposed to be again, and going into the playoffs, win the pennant, go to the playoffs against the Dodgers to go to the World Series and just get, hornswoggled by the Dodgers.
Before we get into, the PTSD, the trauma, when was it that you noticed the shift in the Mets culture? Because you mentioned there was a 4 or 5 year stint where they were doing pretty well. What was it that changed?
So, the fact that you're asking me these questions and I haven't even prepared for them just like goes to show you like the genius that I am with retaining history behind sports. Is like, I remember exactly when it was, in 89 then, where Cone is having like an amazing season as an all-star. This is when now Doc isn't as good. And Strawberry is having a down season. Now Howard Johnson is our main home run hitter, and guys like Kevin McReynolds and stuff like that, who's making the all-star team. We had nothing at that point. Although we were still a good team, we could not compete for a World Series at that point. And every year was like we were good, but we wasn't as good. And now, 1990, we release certain guys, like whether it was Doc. I think Doc left in like 90 or 91, but then Strawberry's gone. And then at that point is like you're coming into like the 94, 95 season when we have this amazing prospect of pitchers coming, which is like Pulsifer and Isrienhauser, like this, the Mets are gonna have this rotation like we had in the 80s type of thing. And one by one, those pitchers that were supposed to be amazing prospects all flopped out. And if they did well, they did it after they left the Mets.
So you remember, and it wasn't necessarily a cultural change. It was
a slow decline. It was 100% a slow decline from the stardom, of like knowing that we have a competitive baseball team in New York. But then, obviously, look, one of the biggest things we talk about Dykstra all the time, right? It started in 87. Now, we know that Nails Lenny Dykstra was just an out of control, but 87, we get rid of Dykstra, who's in his prime, for Juan Samuel. Dykstra for Juan Samuel in 1987. That was when I realized that at that time, because
mental health matters.
Yes, I'm like, and I'm a kid saying, why would we trade Dykstra for Juan Samuel? So, and Juan Samuel was maybe the worst Met ever, and he was terrible. He was an all-star for the Phillies, but just a wreck as a Met. But that was like it was a slow decline, and then obviously knowing that, look, you understand something, from 86 to 2000, that's only 14 years. Right? Right now, from 2000 to now, I mean, it's 26 years, right? So right now, even at 2000, where they got Piazza, which was one of the biggest, I love Italian catches. I love Italians.
About this.
I love catches, and Mike Piazza was my hero. So for him to come into the New York in 98, it was like, we're going to win a World Series. We have Mike Piazza, Italian, the whole city's going to be behind him, and he's going to be this all-star, and we're going to win a World Series. And we got smoked, against the Yankees in 2000. Now, if you want me to fast forward to some trauma, it's Beltran staring at a strike 3 in 06. And I explained this the other day, is that Timo Perez makes a catch to save a home run, to save the fact that if they hit the home run, we're out of here, because right now we're only down by a run. So they hit the home run, we have no shot, right? But he saves the home run, and we're only down by a run. The best catch I've ever seen in playoff history. I don't care. I know that there's been a few since. There's been some wild playoff catches since, but this guy saved the home, jumped over he didn't even save it. He leaped over the fence and stole it out of the air, okay, to save that home run. So then the very next inning with runners on first and third, or was it bases loaded, or first and second, whatever it was, we got runners on and Beltran up, and he looks at a third strike to end the season, bro. Now we're talking about devastation and mental instability. That was because you want to see your star slugger swing the bat,
So what have you been doing over the years to get through these moments? What helps? Because I've seen you, Menza, very sad. I've seen you depressed in real life.
Yes.
Following big collapses.
Yes.
Devastating seasons.
going to games more was like a more therapeutic for me because I felt like at least I was there and enjoyed the energy if there was a loss. So I was going to more and more games and then spending the money to sit behind home plate so I have the ultimate experience because really I'm watching games, that, I'm going to get to look at it such an amazing point of view, but still they're losing. You know what I mean? But at least it would help me through it. And not this season, but the previous season, we started in March. The first 3 games against the Brewers were in March, and I sat behind home plate for 2 out of the 3. And we lost all 3 of those games to start the season, and I said, wow, they drove me out of the stadium, and it's not even April yet. I could not handle it, bro. I could not handle it. Now, miraculously, Reyes hits the home run, right, in Atlanta, okay? We wound up making the playoffs, and we had a great playoff run, right, afterwards, which was one of the seasons where I thought they're going to disappoint me, and I didn't show up, and then I didn't go back until that opening weekend. I didn't go back until the playoffs when they're in the playoffs against the Dodgers and stuff. So actually, no, that was the year before. I'm sorry.
Well,
but what happened there was that when we make the playoffs, then Reyes hits the home run. We make the playoffs, and then Alonso hits the home run to advance us into the NLCS with the Dodgers, and of course we just get hammered out by the Dodgers. Who can beat the Dodgers?
At this point, nobody. But that's a topic for another discussion. While we're on the discussion of mental health in baseball, is there another team that is more mentally imbalanced than the 1986 New York Mets?
No.
And it is amazing to think that they were actually able to sustain for so long. You mentioned this 4 or 5 year window. It's like, let's find as many personality defects as we can and put them in Mets uniforms and have them take the field. And by the way, we make fun of Lenny Dykstra, but Lenny Dykstra, probably one of the best players in baseball for that 5 year window.
Yeah, at the time when he was nails and all that, he was definitely
developed. When he was like a young Met, he was great. But I mean, by the time he got to the Phillies, he was was a top. You guys are a little but he was like a top 10 player.
He did not make the All-Star team as a Met, but he made it as a Philly. Yeah,
You never made it as a Met?
I'd have to look, but I don't think so. Yeah, I think
had some good years there.
But when you look at like Hernandez, and he was, for what it's worth, we love the guy, but like he's a party animal. You know what I mean?
Baseball was different back then.
Yeah.
I think they were all crazy. They were all partying.
Let me ask you guys this: like, say these guys had they addressed their issues. Say they sat down with therapists. Say Dykstra got help and went to rehab. Say they pulled Dwight Gooden out the crack house and the pipe out of his mouth. Do you think that team could have won more than one World Series?
Was part of their
no, I mean, bro, look, if you remember, I mean, Doc had to miss some time because he had to go into rehab.
Yeah, he was.
So Tommy, you think that their mental health is what led to their success? All of those terrible.
Look, in that '86 year, obviously, their dysfunction is what got them. I mean, they would win in probable games, and plus, not only that, they had like 3 or 4 like major fist fights, like team fights that year. You know what I mean? Or getting arrested in Houston at a bar, Dykstra, Orozco, Hernandez, you know what I mean? Like getting arrested because they get into a fist fight at a bar in Houston. You know what I mean? Like, so it was definitely, substance induced. And the things that they talk about, like what went on, like on the plane and all that type. So, yeah, I mean, they definitely, and they may have set the precedent for, dysfunctional sports teams and fans.
Right. And fans.
Because you were fans of these guys, like they were just, drug addicted, lunatics.
But that's like the high and low of a Met fan, right? Like, no, but think about it, right?
Yeah.
You're good for a minute. You get to, like you said, Timo Perez makes that unbelievable catch, and then the next inning, Beltran's looking at strike 3.
Yeah, I know.
Like a beautiful pitch that he should have,
that he should have yes.
So how do you feel as a Mets fan when you see Yankees fans complaining so much about how horrible they are when you have to deal with the Mets?
So I'm one of those really bad Met fans in the terms of like how I hate the Yankees with every last fabric of my body. Like I'm the grandson who was raised by my grandfather of a Brooklyn Dodgers fan that became a Mets fan when Dodgers went to LA, and the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Yankees were crosstown rivals, and they faced each other in the World Series many times, and the Dodgers only won 1 out of like 7 that they went to the World Series together. So it is almost the same thing between Mets and Yankees, Mets and Dodgers, and then Yankees and Dodgers, and then Yankees and Mets. It's like, so I inherited that misery, through the Brooklyn Dodgers and then into the New York Mets. And I accept that we're the little brothers and probably always will. I mean, look, in franchise sports, who's better than the Yankees? They've won more championships in any sports franchise in all of sports, but they've also been around since like 1902 or something like that. Okay. So, you know, when you take maybe, I always say, like, when you look at the like, just take the Mets and Yankees statistics from 1962, because that's when the Mets, you know, came around. And then obviously, I mean, the Yankees have still won way more World Series, but it's not like 25-2, you know what I mean?
It's
or whatever.
pretty close.
Yeah, close enough.
It pretty much is, actually. Now that you say so, I think it is.
Yeah.
But I want to play a fun little game here on Game Mindset on New Solutions
Playing a little
Network.
game today.
A little game. It's called What Caused Your Trauma? And we're going to look at the top 3 moments for Yankees and Mets fans that caused us all so much trauma.
Can I just say this?
rattled our brains.
Like, if we're talking about trauma, you're not going to mention the Knicks? We're just gonna get on. We're just talking about the Mets, because I'll be fair with you. I just gave you a lot of my trauma with the Mets. Like, you're talking about top 3.
The Knicks. I'll say this: I'm not a Knicks fan because
look, I'll give it to you right now, bro. Darling in '88 with the 8 runs in Game 6 was the biggest hurt of my life up until that point. Okay. All right. Beltran staring at strike 3.
I know what your third one's gonna be.
See, when it comes to like the most traumatic, I really can't pick out the third, like, in that sense. But Darling and Beltran are the 2 biggest ones. Go, give me.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like segue into the Knicks a little bit.
But then we're talking about but we're talking about just the Mets, and he wanted to know the top 3.
Yeah.
I'm giving him the top 2. The other third, I really can't say in terms of what was like the main disappointment, because their decline has always been on a steady decline.
Consistent.
It's not like we were like, you know, shoo in to win this game, and we're minus 300 favorites, and we're gonna clinch, and then we just get blown away. That hasn't happened.
So there's not that moment where you're walking on your wife with the neighbor. There's not that terrible traumatic moment. Because I can name you one.
Go ahead.
Oh boy,
I can name you one. Broke out ChatGPT.
Go ahead. Refresh my memory.
So we've got the 2007 Great Collapse.
Yes, well, that like I said, that was a steady decline, which was insane.
Which was insane.
Which honestly, bro, like that's September.
Yeah, but he was talking about like a one.
Right,
you know,
like
the
one. Yeah,
or
bro. So then if I can categorize 07, then 100% that's it. Because
It was the Beltran strikeout when it went by him. That might have been the moment. If there was
because
a moment.
it ruined them for 07. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have the confidence that they could go.
All right, this is now ChatGPT's trying to.
He wants to know.
ChatGPT's being a smart aleck with me, and they're really taking a shot at Mets fans, because they're saying the number 1 worst moment, most traumatic moment for the New York Mets is when the ball went by Buckner, because it was to this day the greatest moment. That's their logic.
That doesn't even make sense.
It says, wait, why is this a bad moment? Okay, I'll just read these other.
But didn't I just say that in a certain aspect?
You did earlier.
I said that as a 7-year-old. It made me spoiled to thinking that this is the way baseball is all the time. You know what I mean?
It said, what happened? With the Mets down to their final out in extra innings, Mookie Wilson hit a slow roller to first base. We all can picture that. We all remember this one. Bill Buckner let it roll through his legs. The Mets won the game and then the series in Game 7. Wait, why is this a bad Mets moment? Because while it's a good Mets moment in isolation, it became their peak. It's the last moment of true glory that every Mets team since has been compared to, an unreachable height that makes every collapse hurt more. It also symbolizes the cruel irony that the Mets' most iconic moment of hope came from someone else's misery.
I honestly feel like I just like said that in a certain way. You know what I mean?
You did in a roundabout way.
Yeah, without the artificial.
What's crazy to me though, bro, is simply the fact that like we always go off of that elation. It's the amazing. We're the amazing Mets. That's why, because in 62 it was improbable. No, I'm sorry, it was 69. They came in 62. In 69, they were still like an expansion team, right? So for a team that just came in 7 years to be competing for a World Series, that's what made them the quote unquote the amazing Mets, because they were like an expansion team that won a World Series in such a short period of time. So to make us the amazing Mets, and to win a World Series in that capacity where we really improbable odds. I mean, like, all the guy Buckner's got to do is, field the ground ball, run to first base, and the regular thing's over. Right. You know what I mean? And they say, like, the reason why McNamara left him on the field was because he was actually hurt. So he really shouldn't have been on the field. But McNamara left him there because he felt like he deserved to be on the field when they clinched the World Series, since he's been such a hard-working Red Sox his whole career. So
his whole life.
So leaves him out on the field thinking, like, what do you got to do? You got to run the first base and catch the ball. It shouldn't be. But knowing that Mookie's so fast and that ball was hit up the line, like in the first baseline into the outfield almost, that he had to run so far that he beat him, that he had to like pick up his glove quick enough to think he's got a foot race to him. He picked it up too soon, and the thing just trickled under his legs. But you're right. That's the point that I just made, is that to think about my whole life as a Met fan is all summed up on somebody's era. It does kind of stink. It is a little traumatic to me, PTSD. I'll be honest with you.
And it is a shame that we.
Is there anything else on that list though? I'm curious. In terms of it being like this cliffhanger here.
Well,
with
those are two moments, right? We've got the strikeout.
Yeah, but that's up to interpretation whether a great moment is the worst moment. Like, so give me something else that's just terrible.
Yeah, they've got Carlos Beltran frozen by Wainwright's curve.
Yeah,
classic moment that we spoke about.
Wasn't even much of a curve, bro. But go ahead.
And then for number 3, they have the 2-0 lead in the 9th inning in the 2015 World Series Game 5 against the Royals.
Yeah, and yes, that was obviously like disappointing, but you gotta understand, like, we had only won one game up until that point anyway. So like, as a Met fan, you're like, yo, this team is sick, because we would take a lead and they would take it right back. Like the next inning, they would take it right back. So yeah, Game 5, when you need to win that Game 5 to make it, a 3-2, 3-2 series, we got a 2-0 lead and we're going into, now we have to use our bullpen. You know what I mean? And we get, Well,
I can tell you the 3 top traumatizing moments for me as a Yankees fan.
Go ahead.
I can tell you the first one and the worst one, because it happened right after 9/11 and I was still in my very formative years. I mean, I had more hatred for Luis Gonzalez than Osama bin Laden in 2001. That's how bad that moment was for me. When that single blooped in and the Diamondbacks won the World Series, that was number 1. Number 2 for me was the entire 4-0, or I guess when we had the collapse in 2004 against the Red Sox. That was obviously, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't like one moment. There were so many moments. Like, that overall was probably the most traumatic week in sports, maybe in my life. Shows I had a pretty blessed life, but terrible, terrible trauma. And then number 3 was probably that, and it was later on, was that home run that Altuve hit in 2017 to bring the Astros to the World Series, which hurts even more looking back, knowing that they cheated.
I knew that was coming right at the,
well, I got it. Right? So those are my 3. How about you, Tommy?
I don't think I have 3. I just think I have 1. I think it was the collapse against the Red Sox. I mean,
how can that not be the?
That just has to be
number 1.
I've been blessed to have good years with the Yankees. I mean, there was some really bad years, but for most of my life, I had really good years with them, and that's the only thing that really sticks out. And maybe the Altuve home run.
That was brutal.
That's brutal. But they didn't deserve to win at that point anyway. They always. I was spoiled with them. They made that big run, right?
Yeah.
And they won all of those games, and they were the best team in baseball during that, and they're winning back-to-back World Series. And going from that to where we are right now, like you even said it was like, this is 20-something years.
Yeah.
Right? Realistically, from the last World Series to 2009 to now, we've been barren as a franchise, right?
Yeah.
We get spoiled by spending a lot of money, having good teams on the field, but they don't have that old school fight, right? They don't have what it takes to get it to the next level, and that hurts more than anything.
Yeah,
like, because they have the talent. This team this year was probably one of the best teams that I've seen since probably 2009.
Yeah, the lineup
was a well
stacked
put together.
Yeah.
It was a stacked.
But
was
they
the
can't play
pitching
together.
Staff?
But they can't play together. That's the difference,
Gotcha.
Like I look back and you're talking about all this dysfunction that the Mets had, but that made them play together.
Right.
It was like the Yankees when they played together in those years with Gito, with Posada, with Matt. They had a real team, and they were behind each other. They played for each other. I think just it's totally different now. the locker rooms are different.
Yeah,
There's different
I think
cliques and
that
everything now.
that's so much. Yes, like that was like along the lines of what I was going to say in terms of just the player of today is very much focused on just themselves and like their own little world and their people, their posse, whatever it may be.
Right.
And when you bring a collective of stars to one team,
Doesn't mean anything.
yeah, they have their own lives and they got their endorsements and their agents. Like they're not really. It's not like even I don't know what years that it changed that dramatically, but it was talking about in the 80s and 90s, like, these teams gelled together as teams. That's why I was impressed with the Royals in 15 because they weren't a collective of stars. They were just a scrappy, hungry young team that got it done. And I look at the Blue Jays the same way this year. Is that like they just
scrappy.
won't, they won't stop from top to bottom, and they score a ton of runs.
But
man.
you know what? Yes, I agree with you. Like the way they play is old school.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Brewers, they have that because you can't tell me 5 guys on the Brewers.
No, you're right.
now.
You're right about that too.
Like for the Blue Jays, you can name their stars, right?
Yes.
You really can't do that with the Brewers.
And to look at the Dodgers when you look at them just in how
they're
stacked
just a
they
whole
are, it's
different-
just like, they remind me of a Yankees team.
right back in the day, yes.
where
Way,
it's just
way
like
more talented. I'm sorry, and on paper, like bigger names, bigger superstars,
bigger names
but
that
they
came
lack
together.
Not that they lack the chemistry; they're so good that they don't really need.
But think about even like
as much
last year
chemistry.
the Yankees had Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Stanton type of thing, and didn't they have
that was
Volpe last year
Yeah,
too?
Volpe
He was on fire last year in the playoffs.
Yeah,
He had a great
what was the guy that didn't you guys have like Joey Votto too or something like
Oh,
that?
Joey Votto.
No,
That'd be
who's the-
nice. I
who's-
wish. No, we had what's his name, and he hurt his wrist, so we couldn't even get the best out of him from the Cubs. Anthony Rizzo.
Anthony
Yeah,
Rizzo. That's
Anthony
what I
Rizzo,
meant to
yep.
say, and I'm sorry. Anthony Rizzo. And last year, too. They didn't have him this year?
No.
No, we.
But think about that team as I just...
That
even
was a
just
great team, too. It was a
Soto, Stanton, Judge, Rizzo, Volpe. Like
It's all about how they gel, man. It doesn't matter who you
my
bring
God,
in.
that's
The
like a
chemistry is
murderer's
everything.
row.
And I think you brought it something like, Juan Soto. Why is Juan Soto not with the Yankees? Because and the bottom line is about money,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Well,
you
you-
want to
you-
be Judge's, it's Judge's team,
For sure. I
right?
get
So,
that.
like, guys in this day and age, they want that, it's Juan Soto's team, it's Aaron Judge's team.
I get it, and
And
he
that's
made, from what I understand, from what I read, like, he also made the decision because it was almost a family decision because of the difference in money, which wasn't
Right.
so
It
much.
wasn't that much money.
It wasn't much, but it was enough of a difference to say, hey, this is for your family, so we got to worry about the family too.
And that suite is lit. It's Latino heat parties in there, man. I love that party. Man. Yeah, have you seen these videos that are emerging of Soto and the family partying
Yeah, you see that
for his
TikTok the other
birthday?
day
For his cumpleaños?
Yeah, it's crazy. I just hope that
I
something
love the
doesn't
Soto
happen to
family.
him like, Octavio Dotel, rest in
yeah.
peace, who died in a party in Dominican Republic.
No. He brings the party to City
To
Field.
me, I know he wasn't a great Met to like as a Met in statistics, but I loved that man on the Mets.
He brings
fought,
the
he was a
party
fighter. You know what I
with
mean?
him to the suite at City Field. That's what they're paying him for, and that's why I can't fault Soto for leaving.
No, of course.
Yeah.
It is a good time over there. And look, maybe not the best
Bro,
results
like,
for
the Mike Piazza Club is lit, bro. It's like a club in there, bro.
the Mike Piazza Club. Let's keep out of there. I'm sure that's where you want to be.
So if you want to talk more trauma, it's cool, but we got to stop with the Mets now because now I'm starting to get depressed. Now I'm gonna need what else
All right,
they got.
as we come full circle here, one thing that I've kind of learned here on Game Mindset is that maybe we need the trauma. Maybe we need the PTSD.
Okay, bro,
Because
it's
when the
cool to like
victories
talk
actually
about it.
come
Like,
in-
hey, it makes me feel better. We just talked about it, but the end result, it's not like you can work through like in therapy where it's like, your mother did this and your father did that, and you got to go through these processes to heal yourself. No, this is game results that will never go away, that will haunt us forever.
Yeah, those box scores are going to stay there forever.
Right, forever.
That's
And
true.
there's nothing I can do to get over it. And every year that we keep disappointing, like I keep getting disappointed, sometimes I'm just like, can I even watch it? But then it's like, you can't not watch
I'll
it.
tell you, but that's where we have to appreciate those good moments, those game-winning home runs, those amazing strikeouts,
No,
those
absolutely.
wins. Because when the
Absolutely.
World Series finally comes to New York, when we're holding, whether it's the Mets,
Like,
the
bro,
Yankees,
in the beginning
it's
of
going to
this
be
year,
that much better.
The Mets, like and Soto wasn't playing that great, but Reyes was on fire and Alonso was on fire. They were like two of the best of the game in the beginning. of the
Reyes,
season,
I love you
his
keep
best-
calling him Reyes.
Yeah, I would
Like,
say that.
you keep switching with his
Why
because
do I
Latino,
always
you
keep
switch his
calling
name to
him
Reyes. Like,
Reyes?
it's crazy, man.
But you know what? Like, you know,
Why do I always call him Reyes?
we're talking about Yankees. and Mets.
Yo, see, this is PTSD. I'm having Reyes and David Wright.
What's his name?
I can't believe it. I'm having like live on air. I'm having David Wright and Jose Reyes flashback.
I know.
in my
You've
mind.
called every Latino player Jose Reyes since we've been on
I'm
air.
calling Lindor Reyes.
And by the way, Lindor, great Met. And you know, you say it's
Amazing
Soto's team that Soto went there. I still think it's Lindor's team.
Oh, it's definitely Lindor.
It's Lindor's team. We talk about mental health, and you know, like they all
He's
have
just more
their
of a
thing.
star. Like he's like
a
he
star,
cares
man.
about being in front of the camera and like taking the credibility.
Yes.
You know, whether it's on him or not. Like and speaking for the team where Soto doesn't.
He just walks away. He
Yeah,
don't want to. He
Soto
don't want
wanna
to
be bothered with it. Yeah.
Just let me
He
count
wants
my
nothing to
paycheck.
do with
and
it.
leave me
Yeah,
alone.
and you know what? You know what Lindor will do? He'll bring his daughter on, so the heat isn't too bad because they're gonna be, how are they gonna kill me over here
Right, with my daughter
Yeah,
on
with
my
my
hip.
daughter in my arms. I mean, so yeah, but listen, finger roll Pat Ewing off the
Right.
back iron.
There's a million things, but you
Yeah,
see, that's what
I
we
think-
forget. Like New York sports,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we put so much pressure
Yeah,
on any team, right? It's just not the Mets, it's not the Yankees. Look at the Knicks, look at the Jets, the Giants.
Yeah.
You know, you have Kevin Durant stepping on the 3-4. You know,
They're not
three-point
even in
line.
New York.
John,
We're pressuring
John
them.
Starks going 3 for like 15 in the biggest game of his
Oh,
life.
I mean, bro, you know,
we can
like,
go
yeah,
on.
You want to keep going? Yeah, we can just keep
Well,
going.
we
bro.
were
but it gets
originally.
magnetized because of New York sports.
There's so many
we
people.
expect
Yeah.
stuff out of New York. You know?
Yeah, I mean, look at the Rangers, how bad they are right now, and like where
they were so
they were
good
in
a
the
couple of years
Eastern
ago, and they just
Conference Finals 2 years ago. They didn't even make the playoffs last year, and this year they start off dismal, and it's almost damn near with the same team. And what kills me is just that you can see it in their skating, bro. They don't even skate hard. They have no pizzazz behind them. They're not taking anything serious, and that kills you as a fan.
So Menza and Tommy, to kind of come full circle here on Game Mindset, before we wrap this episode up, I just want to ask, because we really haven't come to any conclusions. Like you said, Menza, we get to the end of therapy. We didn't really learn anything new, except I will say this. That moment when it comes to New York, that maybe it's not the Liberty. I know the Liberty won the championship, but it's going to feel that much better for all of us when New York finally wins a chip.
Look,
so that's what
I
we
hope
can
that
hold
I'm
on
still
to.
alive when I see the Knicks win a championship, because I watched an old man when the Rangers won in '94 and that whole chant of 1954, because it had been 50 years or whatever since they won. I watched an old man cry his eyes out that said, I thought I was going to die before I seen the Rangers win another cup, because they hadn't won since he was like 10 years old, you know, type of thing. And I think this myself about the Mets the same way. And then really, the last time the Knicks won the chip was in 73, and I was born in 79. So it's like, I've never in my life seen the Knicks win a championship. And if I die before that, like it's really a shame, bro. I put my life into that team. I really did.
Menza, you're going to make it, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Just
This
try
year
to
they
go to
say they're
those
the
live
favorites.
games.
I mean,
They are. They
So
have
like,
a
from
good
the
team.
come out of the Eastern Conference, you know, like, yeah.
And
Listen,
this
I
is
don't think it's hard for them this year. They got an easy path, but you never know what happens during the year, you know?
Yeah.
New York fans are trained to disappoint, right?
You're trained in disappointment.
We're
100%.
trained, right? We're trained
We're
in
ready.
disappointment.
Yeah,
we
that's-
know.
It's like Stockholm syndrome. Like we're eventually
know we're
going to
not
love
getting there.
the.
Yeah, and
person
you know,
that
it
hits
was the Yankees that, as far as New York sports, kept it alive for so long, because you know.
But
it's like a
beside that, what
standard.
happened?
Yeah,
There was nothing in between.
Other than the fact that the
Giants
Giants
did a
had
couple
to
of-
win a Super Bowl to go up against a undefeated team, to then have the most miraculous helmet catch by David Tyrese or whatever, like David Tyree, like to be like on a like it's like this is what I mean. This is the way that we win.
But this is the
our
epitome of New York,
championships,
right? Like
Yeah.
that's what we do as New Yorkers. We scrape, we claw, right?
Yes.
To get by, and that's how we
Yes.
win stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so
now,
like-
now, real quick, a Miami Dolphins.
Oh please, come on! Why do you why do we even have to get involved with that?
Are we supposed to be ending
This is
this
it.
show?
I
right now, or-
tried twice to bring it all full circle.
Look,
man.
one of the
Everybody,
biggest disappointments.
thank you for
in-
listening
in-
for
in
game.
sports.
We got more stuff coming your way. Thanks
just
for
say
watching
this.
the New
Let me
Solutions
just say this:
Network.
we have
Dan Marino not winning a Super Bowl hurts me as an Italian, because he's such a great
we're gonna
Italian.
get
I
into
never
how
got
bad
to
Let's not
Italians are
talk about
treated in
this.
sports. Everybody,
So
thanks for
just so you
listening.
know, I'm gonna
we'll be
wait,
back
wait,
soon.
I need 2 more minutes. Can I get 2 more minutes?
Go, take the floor, Tommy.
So finally, like after I don't know 30 years, like being a Dolphin fan, you know, I keep saying every year. When Dan Marino left, I kept on saying, "I'm going to give him one more year. I'm going to give him one more year. I'm going to give him one more year." Right?
Yeah.
And then Tua goes out, and he just stinks up the place. And I call my uncle, who's a big Buffalo Bills fan, right?
Right.
And I remember going down to Miami, watching Buffalo Bills beat them. And he went to law school up in Buffalo.
Right.
All his family from up there, all his in-laws, they would come. I would be 30 of them and one of me. And they would be laughing at me every year when they go to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So I told him the other day, I said, this is it. I'm done. I'm going to be like a Giant fan, something. I'm picking something else.
Yeah,
right?
I would have figured you was a Giant fan.
Tua goes and throws like 4 touchdowns this weekend.
I know.
And I had him on the bench on my fantasy team.
That
he
stinks,
had like
though.
32 points.
Oh.
But that's the, like, for me, that's PTSD right there. You know?
I mean, even drafting Tua.
trauma.
Right, I
Like,
drafted
what kind
Tua,
of
no less.
PTSD
You thought, like, you know, the thing is that the guy just can't stay healthy. I don't know.
No,
I mean, he
it's
has these games.
crazy.
But anyway, so that's good. At least I got to hear a little bit of your trauma because you're a Yankees fan. You don't have much.
There's not
trauma.
much trauma. Well, there's a lot of trauma, man.
So are you
we
a
could
hockey
go
fan at all?
Not really, but
Okay.
like, you know, I watch it.
And then so football's the Dolphins, baseball it's the Yankees,
Straight up Knicks.
Knicks. That's great. And then the Islanders, Rangers.
I
type
can
of
care
thing.
less.
Yeah,
You
don't
know,
really
like,
care
it
about
doesn't
that.
matter to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
All right, so look, obviously we all have problems. ADD, bipolar, we're all these
Yeah,
crazy
we have a
things.
whole bunch
You
of stuff here.
Pick something on the personality disorder spectrum. It's something going on here. We'll get into that with possibly Dr. Demas because we got to continue this conversation later. But
Demas?
thanks for listening.
Who's Dr. Demas?
Oh, you'll meet Dr. Demas soon.
okay.
We're putting you
Yeah,
in
because
therapy.
honestly,
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
I came on the show in order to get help.
This is just. We're
I
kind
thought
of,
this was like
us.
a therapy session
Yeah,
for you. I was like, I shouldn't even be sitting here.
Yeah, it helped
You
me.
should be on a couch somewhere.
But I want to know what the diagnosis is and how I can get help.
We're
Don't
gonna
be a
find
Met
out.
fan anymore.
That's the
Yeah,
only thing
exactly.
that you can say.
Quit
That's the
watching
only-
sports.
That's the only thing that you actually can say is just stop watching.
Pick a
them.
new team.
Yeah, yeah. Which you know you can't do that.
Essentially, you have to be a Dodgers fan. If you don't want any PTSD in baseball over the next 3 years, become a fan of the Dodgers. Thanks for listening to Game Mindset, folks.
Thanks for having me,
That's
Ryan.
our lesson for you. Over and out.